Had I thought that I'd be telling a gymnastics story this year, I would have thought that I'd tell the story of Carrie Strug, the hero and all-American girl of the 1996 Olympics, who famously landed a one-legged vault in the team competition moments after injuring her ankle during an awkward landing on her previous vault. Her decision to press on with the second vault put Team USA on top of the podium, winning the Olympic gold medal in the team competition for the first time in history. Last year, I stood here and spoke to you, on camera, streamed into your home, about the wilderness, about the lessons we can learn from the unknown. Last year, while we all might have felt that we were flying blind, suspended from reality in the midbar, it seemed like we knew where we might land, as together we imagined what the future might hold. This year, in this Groundhog Day of a Rosh Hashanah, still mired in the throes of this pandemic, but here, I thought I might talk about pushing through despite the pain, about how we stick the landing anyway. But then, on July 27th, Simone Biles also made history, but not in the way that she or we expected. At the Tokyo Olympics, Biles captured the world's attention, pulling out of the team and individual all-around final, explaining that she literally could not tell up from down. She was suffering, as she explained to the world, from the Twisties. Not just a funny name, the Twisties can cause gymnasts to lose their sense of space and dimension in midair, even if they've performed the same maneuver for years without problems. It is, the experts explain, a dangerous disconnect between brain and body. The muscle memory fails, and an elite gymnast finds themselves hurtling through the air, unsure of their location or their destination. Suddenly, they do not know where or when or on which body part they will land. So here we are this year, many of us still suspended midair, wondering if the wedding we scheduled is ever going to happen, wondering if our baby will ever meet their grandparents who live far away, wondering whether our business will ever recover or if we'll ever be able to work again as our kids need to quarantine over and over. I don't know about you, but with all of the back and forth, the whiplash of hope and despair, the 2 steps forward and 5 steps back, I am a little discombobulated. And I'm not just talking about COVID. From the very start of our journey, whether in life or in the wilderness, we are told this won't be simple. It won't always be linear. There will be times where you feel confident and hopeful, and there will be times when you feel lost and afraid. There will be times when the path ahead seems clear, and there will be times when it seems murky and unsafe. And your destination might change, it might move, or it might look different than it did when you started. We too do not always know where or when or on which body part we will land. What if? What if we all have the Twisties? What if we always have? That first date magic, or the marriage that ended, the prognosis that shattered a dream, the call from the fertility clinic, the new job that wasn't, the hard-won remission, the wedding, the first day of school, the college rejection, and the list goes on. Maybe the Twisties have always been the stuff of life, the joys and the sorrows. They are the moments when we find ourselves far from where we started and far from where we thought we'd be. We did not need a global pandemic or the terrifying future of climate change with its hurricanes and fires, or a dystopian grab for power over women's bodies to make us feel lost or unsure of the future. But in those, we are just even more aware of the Twisties now than we've ever been. And so maybe we are wondering now more than we ever have, where and how will we land? Well, it turns out that life is not an Olympic competition, and I know I am neither Carrie Strug nor Simone Biles. We are not going for Olympic gold, and we need an option between painful injury and total avoidance of danger. And these days, these high holy days, they understand the in-between. The rabbis teach that 3 books are opened on Rosh Hashanah. One of absolute sinners, one of absolute tzaddikim, totally righteous, and one of Beinonim, the in-betweeners. The absolute tzaddikim, they are written and sealed immediately for life. And the absolute sinners, well, you can guess where they are written and sealed. The Beinonim, though, they are held in the balance and stand from Rosh Hashanah until Yom Kippur. Now, perhaps there are those amongst us who believe ourselves to be tzaddikim gemurim, absolutely good and righteous. And I hope there are none among us who are absolute sinners, pure evil. I would venture to guess that you, like me, are one of the Beinonim. You were out there doing your best, or maybe this year just your average. But whether that's good enough, whether you believe it literally or metaphorically, only God knows. Tonight, as we usher in this new year, we are in the ultimate state of suspension, wondering where our fate will land. Now, not surprisingly, there is no magic cure for the Twisties, no silver bullet or pill that one can take. Gymnasts agree that the only cure for the Twisties is time and going back to the basics, physically and emotionally. It might mean doing simple moves that enable our muscle memory to kick back in, or working on soft surfaces to help them get back up in the air. So how might we come through the Twisties? How might we set ourselves up for a more grounded new year? Let's take some lessons from the gymnasts. Back to basics. In the spring of 2020, the Paris Review ran an article that made its way through my circles of friends and colleagues. While I cannot share its explicit title from the Bima, I can share this excerpt, this lesson on returning to the basics or redefining them. She writes, "And maybe the bread, as I've always understood it, really is over. The new world order is rearranging itself on the planet and settling in. Our touchstone is changing color. Our criteria for earning a life, a living, are mutating like a virus that wants badly to stay alive. I can't believe I spent so many hours begging universities to hire me. I forgot to learn how to separate chaff from the wheat and gently grind. But I also wanted an office with a number. I wanted a university ID. I wanted access to a fancy library and benefits and students and colleagues and travel money. You're better off, says my mother. I look around. I've landed where I am. I've loved watching many of you become challah bakers over the course of these months. Maybe it was banana bread or sourdough or babka on Friday mornings. If that includes you, I hope you learn what I remembered as I took it up again too. That baking challah is not only about the delicious carbs, but about what it means to go back to the Jewish basics, to mark time on the rhythms of the Jewish calendar, Shabbat after Shabbat, to gather with your closest loved ones for food and song and togetherness, to offer blessings of gratitude for the multiple of gifts we have been given. V'achalta, v'savata, uverachta teaches the book of Deuteronomy. When you have eaten and are satiated, you will bless. You will give thanks to the divine for having landed where you are. Muscle memory. Even the most basic moves, the cartwheel, the leap, the challah braid, require practice. Practice, my kids remind me, makes better. Dr. Bruce Powell is a renowned Jewish educator here in Los Angeles and co-author of the book Raising A+ Human Beings. And he talks about building the muscle memory of kindness, of compassion, and of values-based decision-making. Speaking to our wise school parents on the first day of school this year, he talked about the questions that we ask when our children come home. He writes, typically when a child comes home from school, what does the parent ask? How was your day? What did you learn today? How many of us ask, Did you do a mitzvah today? Were you kind to anybody today? Did you invite somebody to sit with you at lunch today? What would happen if we started to ask those questions? And it's not just our children. Do we ask it of ourselves? Tonight, the books lie open before us. Tomorrow, we will say the words of the Unatana Tokef, reminding us that tefillah, tshuva, and tzedakah ma'avirin et roa hagzera, reflection and introspection, honesty and vulnerability in relationship, and a commitment to justice are our building blocks, the muscles we need to build and flex, to not only face the world, but to transform it and ourselves. Like a gymnast practicing that same tumbling routine time and again, these are not one-time acts, not only a day's commitment. Like a gymnast, we need to stretch and grow, making our lives one of practice, of ongoing dedication to this profound work. Day after day, we commit ourselves to tshuva, to tefillah, and to tzedakah, till it becomes muscle memory, until it becomes a part of who we are. Soft surfaces. Just before Thanksgiving, Cantor Emma and our cantorial intern Josh Goldberg offered our community a treat, a blessing in song. From the TV show Nashville, their beautiful voices reminded us, 2 arms around me, heaven to ground me, and a family that always calls me home. 4 wheels to get there, enough love to share, and a sweet, sweet, sweet song. At the end of the day, Lord, I pray, I have a life that's good. When we welcome a baby into the world, we bless them that they may always know Torah, chuppah, and ma'asim tovim, that they live a life of values and learning, deep and sustaining relationships, and the drive and ability to do good in the world. Families that hug us, communities that hold us, and a divine presence that loves us. These are the soft surfaces of our lives, the thing that let us try and fail and try again. There's one more lesson that I think Simone Biles taught us. She didn't name it, but we can. After she pulled out, she showed up for her teammates to cheer them on and support them, and to let them know that they were not alone. Once, someone found themselves lost in the woods, walking and wandering. They were growing more and more afraid. They could not find their way back to the path, could not find their way out. Growing ever more anxious, they happened upon another person also walking in the wood. Afraid but also hopeful, the first said, "I'm lost. Perhaps you can help me find my way out of here?" The second shook their head and said, "I'm lost too." But seeing the fear and disappointment on the first wanderer's face, the second continued, "But maybe we can walk together. We know that the way you've come from, well, that's not the way out. And we know that the way I've come from, that's not the way out. Maybe we can find a new way together." Maybe we can find a new way together. For all of their coaches and teammates, for all of the trainers and fans, a gymnast flying high above the vault is in that moment alone. The twists, the turns, the fear, the exhilaration, he or she is holding those, all of them. But that's not true of us, and that's not true of life. Our basics, both the needs and the desires, our muscle memory, our soft surfaces, all of those are grounded in community, in relationship, in knowing that in our hopes and our fears, our success and our failures, our stuck landings and our wobbles, we are not alone. So when we feel suspended in the air, in between where we were and where we need to be, when we are not sure where or when or on what body part we will land, when we get the twisties, and we will, we can find our own way. Or even better, maybe we can find a new way together. And may we all this year land safely. Shana Tova.
to